Hey everyone, it's the Miserable Movie Man back once again with another video. So, Daredevil Born Again just wrapped. I finished the season finale today and wanted to do a quick video to share my thoughts on, I guess, Disney's take on what many people consider to be an already very good show. Now, I will say that there are a lot of positive reviews of this show that's come out. A lot of praise and a lot of fans very excited about it, especially with the way it ended. For me, personally, I thought the show was good, but I thought it wasn't as good as the Netflix version of it. I think the thing that Netflix show did really well, other than explore the character quite a lot, it had a very much of a comic book feel about it. It introduced arcs and plots and villains and folks that I had grown up reading in the comics, and seeing them well portrayed on screen was excellent for me. I mean, I'm going to do another video at another time, or maybe I'll discuss it on the podcast, but I was a big fan, at least, of the director's cut of the Ben Affleck Daredevil film. Cinematic cut was not great, to be honest, but the director's cut was good. And I thought Charlie Cox really captured that tortured soul, trying to find some faith and solace in religion really well in the Netflix show. Now, I heard that when they were doing this version, maybe 4 or 5 episodes in, they realized they needed to change, and they got rid of the creative team and brought in a new creative team, and now we have the show that we ended up watching. And as I said, it got really high praise, but for me, it did not hit the same heights. Now, some people will say it's a preamble, that it's leading up to season 2. I mean, for the majority of season 1, we don't even really see Matt as Daredevil. He's facing a crisis of conscience, a lack of faith, as it were, especially after the events of episode 1. And there will be spoilers in this, so be aware of that. But, losing Foggy shook him to the core, and he tries to be normal. He tries to live a normal life, but events conspired to bring him back to being Daredevil. And I thought it was all just too contrived. It took too long. It was just ambling around, creating a few different disparate storylines that, were trying to push the buttons in the viewers to say, yeah, he's coming back. Look, he's coming back. So I didn't enjoy that aspect of it. I thought Charlie Cox was good, but again, didn't really bring anything new this time around. I thought D'Onofrio was excellent as Kingpin, as always. He did bring something a little bit new. I think it was nice to try and see Kingpin try and at least portray that outward clean image of trying to be a mayor, even though we knew underneath that he had machinations all the time. I'll start by saying the opening scene in the opening episode, where there's a pretty ruthless and brutal fight between Daredevil and Bullseye. Nice to see Bullseye back. I didn't think that was well done. I didn't think it was as good as the fights in the original Daredevil show on Netflix. I thought they were really reaching to try and showcase more darker and gritty stuff. Daredevil swinging through the skies, screaming out loud. It didn't sit well with me. CGI looked a bit ropey at times. I mean, Bullseye can take out as many people as he wants, and then can't take out anyone. Same with Daredevil. So it didn't get off on a good foot. I thought the characters they introduced were really a little bit pointless. I mean, maybe they'll have some part to play in the future. But the psychiatrist Heather was okay, I guess. It really showcased to see someone that Matt cares about and may turn against him, or also really somebody that is willing to listen to Wilson and Vanessa go through their marital troubles. BB Ulrich showcasing what the views of the city are. Yeah, Daredevil's supposed to be dark and gritty and man of the people and listen to the streets. Did we need to see those many inserts of New Yorkers complaining about stuff? I thought, Bart was an interesting character, but Kirsten as his partner at law didn't add a whole lot. Wasn't really there unless she proves to be a bit of a traitor in the second episode. Maybe she knew what Foggy was going to do and helped cover it up. But other than that, she's really just there to chide Matt and say a few legal lines. Michael Gandolfini, obviously the son of legendary actor James Gandolfini, is Daniel Blake. I mean, he really starts off as a bit of a whiny, slimy, pointless character, and then, unless he makes a stark change and the power play towards the end of season 1 showcases him to have some level of criminality and crime lord element about him, that I would be interested to see. But just, how he got through the episodes and sucking up to Wilson and throwing his weight around a lot and being a bit uncool and just silly really didn't grab me. Didn't really see the point of Sheila as the counterpoint of, being horrified by a lot of what Fisk is doing. And then the cops, Powell and others, just caricatures really. They weren't particularly well used. So, overall, the characters they introduced didn't really grab me, didn't really hold me, didn't really help further the plot in any way other than being, I guess, openly obvious instruments to be used for the writers. And then we get to White Tiger, who I did enjoy the performance of, Hector Ayala, played by the late Camar de los Reyes. Great acting. I like the character. Interestingly, in the comics, he does go on trial and it's a different ending to what they showed on the screen, but it is slightly similar. What I didn't like about a lot of the things in this show is they sort of threw in things that seemed normal but were very briefly mentioned and then played a part later on. So again, in the opening episode, they talk about, there are other vigilantes like White Tiger, but we'd never heard of him before or seen him before. So it was really just something completely out of the blue for the audience, and then he becomes a plot point later on. And with Muse as well, a guy who studied Taekwondo, who therefore is so easily able to fight Daredevil. I mean, even if you study Taekwondo to a world-class degree, you still should not be able to come close to competing with Daredevil's powers, his heightened senses and everything. So that was a bit ridiculous. And then, they show Muse very briefly in one of the episodes just towards the end, and you're like, it's a new villain, some new super villain for him to fight. But no, he's just a run-of-the-mill serial killer, he's a bit nuts, and has to put Heather in danger, and has to do things to advance the plot in a ridiculous fashion that is just very contrived. So, again, Muse has been operating for years, 60 people. How did Daredevil and the police never even know about him or find him? I mean, that's a bit ridiculous and contrived in itself, isn't it? So, these elements that they introduced just didn't sit that well with me. I didn't think they were handled particularly well. I mean, I get that they have to have some kind of tension and they have to have some kind of antagonist for the protagonist to go after, but there's so many people to choose from. There's so many storylines to choose from. This wasn't what I thought wasn't a very effective one. I mean, I liked Kingpin playing that thin line between being Corbett Romero and his old world and Vanessa not quite knowing what his plans are and him being one step ahead. That's good characterization. That is, the Kingpin. But ultimately, money laundering again, even though he's mayor, creating a blackout in the city just so that he could try and kill Matt Murdock. I mean, why does he need a blackout? And then sending the police team straight into his apartment to kill him. Surely they would realize who he is, or at least have some inkling that he's very important and dangerous for Mayor Fisk. And just that brazenness is ridiculous. Having Kingpin kill Gallo the way he did, it just came across as really stupid. I mean, just breaking his face in half. Kingpin is strong, he's not supposed to have superhuman strength like that. I mean, he could pick people up and throw them against walls the way he did with Bullseye in season 3, I think. But breaking a face in half, that just got ridiculous for me. That was just too much jumping the shark. And then, having it end with Daredevil is back. He's born again. He needs to create a team to take on the Kingpin. The whole city needs to rise up against this evil of a mayor. Who have we got? The owner of a bar and a few cops, one of whom knows his identity. But now he's going to talk to all of them. So this will be an interesting segue into season 2. If they bring in some of the folks from the shows, I will be happier. But just the way they ended it on a few cops and a hostage negotiator, it's just, yeah, this is our team. It's the best we have to offer. Was a bit ridiculous for me. And let's talk about the Punisher. I loved the appearance in the episode where him and Daredevil have a long chat about what's going on and how they are, where they are a little bit. When it got to the Punisher intervening and saving Daredevil, or saving Matt in the last episode, honestly, the more they portray Frank, the more I think, are they trying to turn him into Wolverine? I know he has rage in him, but to give him berserker level rage and to grunt and scream and shout the way he's doing all this stuff, I mean, that wasn't the Punisher, at least for me in the comics. The Punisher in the comics was cold-blooded. He was efficient. He was a marksman. He was a highly trained contract killer. He didn't go around grunting and shouting and screaming. I mean, he almost sounded like Stallone from Rambo in the last episode. So I wasn't a fan of that. And also Matt and Daredevil shouting and screaming, grunting a lot when he's swinging through the rooftops when he's fighting sometimes. It's just a little bit ridiculous for me. I mean, I know they like to get in touch with their primal screams, but it just didn't sit right for me in terms of the characters they're portraying. But, you know, in that end fight, Frank kills a lot of people. And does Matt? Because you see a lot of people's blood on the walls through their head wounds, and he seems to, you know, give someone a sidewalk son. No, that was Frank. Frank gave the sidewalk son. But he seems to take people out, and you don't know if he's killing them or not. He says don't. He says he's not, and he tells Frank not to kill. But then you look at the way he's doing it, and it almost looks like he's also killing them. So a little bit of a contradiction there, a bit of hypocrisy. I don't know. But as I said, overall, it's okay. This show didn't hit the heights for me that the Netflix show did. I will be interested to see where it goes in season 2. As I said, it's got a lot of praise, but it didn't really do it for me. Certainly not, as I said, as much as the original show. So, there you go. That's it. Oh, one thing before I go, just wanted to mention the acting styles, which are really great. I would encourage you to watch out for this. Charlie Cox acts with his mouth all the time. He's always making mouth motions. He's either opening, closing, gritting, moving his lips forwards and backwards. It's just maybe his style, but that's the way he acts, and after a while you pick up and it gets a bit annoying. D'Onofrio, on the other hand, is always using his fingers. Always using his fingers to act, moving it around, picking things up, twiddling them, twirling them, using them in ways to convey things. So, I noticed that obviously in the original Netflix show, it's very prevalent again in this season. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Just wanted to mention it, throw it out there, see if other folks noticed. If they agree, disagree, so let me know what you think. But yeah, that's it. That's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure my take isn't quite in the line of what the general consensus is on this show, but then again, I don't follow the crowd. I just say what I think, and I try and make it as real as I can for everyone. So let me know what you think in the comments below. As usual, thanks a lot for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to help support the channel, and catch you next time.